to Mr. McClintock.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. I would like to speak on a related matter, and that's how our Forest Service approaches fire in our densely overcrowded and drought-stricken forests. On July 4th, lightning struck a tree in the Humboldt-Toyobe National Forest in Alpine County, California, starting a small fire that smoldered over just a quarter of an acre of rugged terrain. Now, instead of immediately attacking this fire, the U.S. Forest Service decided to monitor it instead. That is to say, to do precisely nothing. On July 16th, 12 days later, that small fire of a quarter of an acre, now called the Tamarack Fire, exploded out of control. It's now consumed 70,000 acres as of this writing. One of the towns in its path is Woodford's, California. In 1987, the Woodford's Fire Department responded to a report of fire on Forest Service land near their town in the same forest. They, too, were turned away. In fact, federal officials threatened Woodford's residents with arrest for even trying to extinguish the small blaze. Well, hours later, that fire exploded to 6,500 acres, costing 25 families their homes. Apparently, the Forest Service has learned absolutely nothing in 34 years. This let-burn policy of federal land managers began back in 1972 during the height of the radical environmental movement. It stems from the premise that fire is nature's way of cleaning up forests and that active suppression of fire leads to a buildup of excess fuels. Well, that's right as far as it goes, because an untended forest is just like an untended garden. It will grow and grow until it chokes itself to death and will ultimately be consumed by catastrophic fire. That is how nature gardens. The U.S. Forest Service was formed to remove excess growth before it can burn and to preserve our forests in a healthy condition from generation to generation. In California, active land management reduced acreage that was annually lost to wildfire from more than 4 million acres a year in pre-Columbian times to just 250,000 acres during the 20th century. Federal foresters marked off excess timber and auctioned it to timber companies, which paid the federal government for harvesting rights. Environmental laws adopted in the 1970s now require years of environmental studies at a cost of millions of dollars before forest thinning can be undertaken. That essentially brought the era of active land management to a halt. And the result? California's wildfire damage has returned to its prehistoric level. More than 4 million acres lost to catastrophic wildfire last year. You see, nature is a lousy gardener. In 1988, when the federal let-burn policy produced the disastrous Yellowstone fires, President Reagan reversed it. "I didn't even know the policy existed," he said. "The minute that this happened out there and Don Hodel went out, he made it plain that no, we were withdrawing from that policy." That's what President Reagan said. Unfortunately, Reagan left and the policy returned. And the devastation that it has caused since then is tragic, avoidable, and incalculable. Especially given the hazardous condition of today's forests, sensible policy would give top priority to extinguishing the small fires before they can explode out of control into mega fires. Scrambling to explain their obvious dereliction of duty, Deputy Forest Supervisor John Stansfield complained that they just didn't have the resources to put out the small fire when a water drop by helicopter could have stopped it cold. Yet they had the resources to photograph it by helicopter, and they had the resources to do countless airdrops after they had allowed it to explode out of control. Now, the federal government owns 96% of Alpine County, leaving it with virtually no tax base and entirely dependent on tourism attracted by the national forest. The fire has not only taken people's homes and destroyed their businesses, but it severely damaged the forest resource that Alpine County's entire economy depends upon for tourism. It is dangerous nonsense to monitor incipient fires in today's forest tinderbox, even if they seem to pose no immediate danger. No person in his right mind would monitor a rattlesnake curled up in his bedroom because it isn't doing much of anything at the moment. He'd kill it before it does. In our national forests, only the Forest Service can prevent small blazes from becoming forest fires, and it's about time they did. I yield